Hey, comic book community, Longbox Love Affair here. I am at AwesomeCon in Washington, D.C. It is not a huge comic book convention, but we got some behind me. We got absolute comics and statues where I always find some good stuff, and where I bought my AF-15 last year. So, walking around, waiting for a sketch to be done. So, thought I would give you a little insight of this convention and show the books I picked up. So that's enough for the show floor tour, because there's really only about 5 or 6 comic vendors, and I'm going to show you what I picked up and the sketches I commissioned, and we'll go from there. All right, I am back. It is the day after my AwesomeCon adventure. It was a Friday pass that I picked up. AwesomeCon is in DC. It is more of a pop culture con, not so much a comic book collector con, but they do get some good artists. And occasionally, you never know what you'll find. I met Stan Lee there, his last time he was in Washington, DC. I've had some other great artists. Full disclosure, I was originally going to buy a 3-day pass because Art Adams was going to be there. And then I forgot about it, and a week or two ago, my friend is like, do you want to go to AwesomeCon with me? He's my comic book buddy that likes to come and hunt with me, and he's more like Star Wars and DC, and I'm the Marvel guy. And I was like, well, let me double check, and I saw that Art Adams canceled. So I was evaluating whether to even go to AwesomeCon, because I vowed never to go unless there was a celebrity, a comic book creator that I really wanted to see. Because AwesomeCon gets the Lord of the Rings guys, Sean Astin, things like that. It had some Ghostbuster people. Last year they had Back to the Future folks. So it is very pop-centered. And so this year, Humberto Ramos was there, as well as Sean Gordon Murphy. And so I was like, okay, I can recover the anticipation here when Art Adams decided to skip this con. So I was like, let me go check out those artists. So I went on Friday, and I was able to commission 2 sketches, one from each of those artists. So first up was Sean Gordon Murphy, and he had, for $80, would do a Sharpie quick sketch. And he had another option that was watercolors, and it was maybe about $400, and I wasn't willing to pay that. I like Sean Gordon Murphy, but I'm not the hugest of fans. I don't follow his work as much, so I was like, well, I'm not going to invest that much into a sketch. So I did the $80 quick sketch. So this is what he did for me. I asked for a Gambit. I saw examples of that online, so I was like, let me do that. I know you can do that well, and I'm a fan, so pick that up. Really cool. He also had some really cool coffee mugs that he created with Rogue and Gambit, and I think Harley Quinn and Batman, and so those were really cool. They were selling for about $100 each. He had the Rogue and Gambit as a set, and those were $225. Wish it was a little cheaper, because I probably would have picked one up, but nevertheless, I got the comic book. It's off to CGC through the facilitator, Captured Collectibles. So that happened right away. That started my con. Then I got in line for Humberto Ramos, and was able to be number 3. I didn't have an early pass, so there wasn't a line. That's the beauty of this convention. There wasn't a line, so I was able to get in there and be one of his 4 sketches of the day. I was told it was going to be ready at 5:30. In the end, I was pacing back and forth, because I had, at 7 o'clock, I was meeting friends at a comedy show, so I needed to be out of there before then. I picked up that sketch at 6:40, went to Captured Collectibles, completed the paperwork, and I got out of there, and I was only 4 minutes late to the comedy show. So was able to finish my con experience with this awesome sketch. This Peter Parker / Spidey sketch. It is better than I imagined. I was only thinking that the head would be half Spidey, because I had asked for Peter Parker. And he did the whole half body, which is super awesome. This is definitely a key sketch in my collection. I do have a watercolor Gambit that he did that I bought off of eBay several years ago, so I'm super psyched to have that. And now I have one that I commissioned myself. So I have my Ramos collection complete in my eyes. I'm really excited. I had another option would be Venom, and they're like, oh, it's an extra $100, and an hour or so of work. And I was like, I'm not that hard up for Venom. I can deal with Peter Parker because that's who I really wanted him to do. He does a really awesome Peter Parker. So super psyched about that. But maybe you're here for the haul. So I was able to find a batch of comics. So this is, like I said, there's not a huge comic book community there, but there is a good number of dealers, some awesome, some not so awesome, that you could hunt in, and I found some really great deals. The first book I picked up was from Welcome Back Comics, and these are guys I've dealt with in the past. I've sold them books, I bought books from them. They're local, but they also do cons up in, I think, New Jersey. So I was able to pick up only one book from them, but it's one I've been looking for. Long Shot #1. Really nice condition. I actually asked them, I was like, that's a needle in a haystack, but do you have Long Shot #1? Why am I picking this book up? So I have already filled out the paperwork for the Art Adams signing, and I asked for a remark of Long Shot on this book. The book that I was going to send in, I took out of the plastic, and it is rough. It is rougher than I would like to send. So this is nicer. Is this a 9.0 candidate? Maybe. It's got a really nice spine. This might be a little bit better than a 9, but it's definitely near mint minus to near mint condition. I'm going to get it pressed at CGC after Art does his art on it. But for they label it $35 or $30. He gave it to me for $25, I believe, which was nice. Thanks for the deal. Excited to have a nice copy of this. And I saw a bunch of copies of this book floating around. This was the nicer of any that I saw at this convention. Always surprised to see this book, Justice League 41, the San Diego Comic-Con variant. I bought one many years ago, and I remember showing it, and people were like, wow, I've never seen that before. And I had never seen it before up until that moment. It's a super hard book to find. And now this is my third copy. For $10, I couldn't let this sit in the bin. I think that's a steal for this book. It is, in my opinion, a hard book to find. You don't see it many places. I think this is an underrated book. This is the Dark Side War, part of the Justice League New 52 run towards the end of that, but is a San Diego Comic-Con. It's got one of those old school homages to the posters, the wrestling posters or what have you. So really cool for $10. Also picked up at that dealer X-Men 244, the first appearance of Jubilee, a newsstand. I've never had this book in a newsstand. Really nice condition. It does have spine ticks. I knew that, but for $10, I couldn't leave this sitting. Also, I think I had sold this book a couple of years ago, but I was excited to bring this one back in because I love the cover. Ryan Stegman, Venom #3, second print. We got Miles Morales, and we got this crazy null symbiote Venom on the cover from interior artwork. So I have issue #1, the second print, where that's also this also featuring interior artwork. So this is a nice one for me to add back into the collection for $10. And actually, this next book is the first one I found. It kind of, prodded me to keep hunting. Is Daredevil 254, first appearance of Typhoid Mary. I believe this is the first appearance. Nice copy. I've seen, I think my local comic shop has this book for $30 or $40. So to be able to find a comparable condition copy, a really nice condition, for a fraction of that price was exciting. And the book I was shocked to see in the bin, and I can't believe I hemmed and hawed about it, for $10 is X-Men 108. Bronze Age, John Byrne's first artwork on Uncanny X-Men, the first of that seminal run, one of my favorite runs in comics. So was able to pick this up. It is lower grade. It is not trash, though. It is not a trash book. So $10 I think is an amazing deal. $10 all day for this book. One of my favorites. I went to my boys at Absolute Comics and Statues. They had a huge booth. They had a great sale, so their bin comics were 30% off. They typically have that deal for anything in the bins, and then they have a great wall of books. Last year at Awesome Con, I did pick up my Amazing Fantasy 15 from them. So I have an affinity for them. They worked with me in terms of the shipping because I couldn't pay for it right then and there because I did not anticipate spending that amount of money that particular day. But the stars aligned and I was able to pick that book up. So fast forward to a year later, they're there. I'm hunting, I'm looking through their stuff, and I didn't buy anything right away. And my friend, Craig, and I, we took a break because I was waiting for my Ramos sketch. I was like, I'm done for now. Let's go get a drink. So at 4 o'clock, we went, had happy hour a little early, opened the bar, and then around 5:30 or so, we went back to the con floor to try to see if my sketch was ready. It wasn't, but I was at the bar thinking about the wall books at Absolute Comics and Statues. So make sure you give those guys a follow on Instagram too. I'll try to put their link right below. So I ended up with 3 books from them. And they gave me a deal that I couldn't say no to. They gave me some really nice discounts for what the price they were asking. And of course, they probably have wiggle room, but I appreciated that they were willing to kind of go lower than what they had listed. So that was nice. So the prices that you see on this book are not what I paid. So I've been wanting this book for a minute. It's Captain America 230. So I think this is Ron Wilson's artwork, Hulk smashing Captain. Awesome kinetic cover. You know, got that pow going. It listed, they had it for $50. It was in the 30% off bin. They gave it to me for $30 mixed in with everything else. So was excited to get that nice deal here. So Captain America 230. Also from those guys, the book that I went back to look at and give a double take was Fantastic Four Annual #1. This book has finally cooled off enough for me to be able to afford it. I could have afforded it earlier, but I wasn't willing to pay the money for it because I'm not a huge Namor fan. I'll be honest. I liked him in Black Panther. I'll be completely honest. I liked him in Black Panther. Didn't think he necessarily fit into the story, but I liked the portrayal. I liked the actor. I thought he did a good job. I bought this mostly because of the old Spidey. Look at that old Spidey kind of haphazardly drawn. Is this Jack Kirby? It might be. Forgive me if it's not. But old Spider-Man, happy to add this to the collection. Fantastic Four Annual #1. You know, there's lots of talk about Fantastic Four being announced soon, so we'll see what happens with that. But as it is, I'm picking up the keys as I can, and this is one it fits my Spidey-Man itch that I want to make sure that I get them all. My Peter Tingle. So Fantastic Four #1 Annual. And then last purchase at that booth was an unexpected buy, but one that I have been wanting for a couple of years and have just never found a good copy. Is Fantastic Four 19. The first Rama Tut, Ties to Kang. Really just, a below 20 issue of Fantastic Four. Really cool book. I got this for a great deal, and I think I paid just over $300 for this particular book, so I thought that was a decent deal. And it's a really nice copy. It's complete cover, no tears. It's got wear, of course, but the cover is just really clean. So I couldn't leave this one behind. And again, the package deal with all of this was something I couldn't refuse. Last 2 books I picked up were ones that I just stumbled upon this small booth. She was dealing with Magic or Pokemon cards and had a couple bins of comics, and I pulled out 2. Pulled out Infinity. I'm sorry, no, it's New Avengers 8. It's the Infinity Prelude, first appearance of the Black Order. Awesome. Is this Mike Deodato cover? But I don't have this book anymore. I wanted to bring it back in, first Black Order. So I got this one, and the one I was hoping for, as I found this one, I was hoping that it was also in the bin, was New Avengers issue #10. First appearance of Thane, the son of Thanos. Underutilized character, but this book is still hard to find. When you're hunting in the bins, you don't see this one, unless you see it for 20 or 30 bucks or something like that. So was excited to bring this one back into the collection. And at in front of the box, she had a sign that said $5, $10, or $20 books. And so you didn't know what it was, and it wasn't organized very well. I'll fully admit that. And on the backs of these books was 16 and B. What does that mean? So I was like, how much are these? And she's like, this one's $16. I was like, okay, that doesn't fit the $5, $10, or $20 frame, so 16. And this one is she said 35 or something. She's like, that's backwards or blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, you're just pricing these off the cuff, aren't you? And I was like, I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass. And she's like, well, how much do you want to pay? How much do you want to pay? Off the cuff, I was like, $20. So I thought $20 was probably a fair offer. Maybe it was even more than I should have offered, but I thought she wanted almost, 45, $50 for these. And I was like, I'll give you $20. I didn't think she'd say yes. And she said yes. So I was like, okay, I'll buy them. Did I overpay? I don't know, maybe. But I think it's comparable. You can't find this book too cheaply these days unless you are buying it in a bin that someone doesn't realize. So was able to pick that up. So there we go. So I'm pretty pleased with AwesomeCon. The purchases I made were pretty intentional, and I'm trying to get that way and not just buy willy-nilly unless things are really dirt cheap, which you don't always find. So that's that. That's AwesomeCon. I made the most of it. It still had the fudge dealers. There's 2 dealers that had fudge. There were 2 of those soda machines where you buy a mug, like a Stein, and you can have all you can drink soda the whole convention time and keep that mug with you. But you have to carry that thing around. It doesn't have a lid, I don't think. And it's $30 for unlimited soda. I guess it's like $10 a day if you're going to be there. And so if you're going to be there all day and drinking, I guess that makes sense. But I'm thinking, how do you hunt for comics holding a soda and, spilling it or whatever? I don't know. And there was other random stuff at the convention floor. So a day was enough for me. Less than a day. I was there from like 1 o'clock to 6:30 with a break in between. So that was enough. I saw the dealers I needed to see. Hopefully, if anyone that's watching this video went to AwesomeCon, I hope you found something that was worth your while. It was fun just to walk the floor with my friend. So that's what he wanted to do. He is not a huge comic book collector. He does collect, but he's not a huge one. So he looks at me like I am crazy, I'm sure. He sits on the sidelines and watches me make some deals, and I'm sure he's just like, holy shit. Pardon my French. So that's my haul. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down below. I didn't make it to Heroes Con this weekend. Of course, I've yet to go, but it was the same weekend, so I stayed local. One day I'll get there. One day I'll make it to some of the other cons, so we'll see. But leave a comment down below. If you're new, subscribe. Hit that thumbs up if you like what you see. Hey, check out my eBay auctions. I do have new auctions I post almost on a weekly basis on Sundays, and they end on Sundays, so check those out. If you want to make a deal, hit me up on Instagram, and I'm happy to see what we can do to make a deal and save on those eBay fees. So I will see you next time. All right, bye-bye.